This is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to this. David Erbes, the legend of the Wild Rice Conference. Yeah, he was. Welcome, fellow Wildcats, administrators, coaches, athletes, fans. Coach Lanier, dear friend. We were good buddies. He was good to me. We were a good team. And congratulations to you and your staff and girls. Awesome. You were a great team. Great to watch. I apologize, Dr. Richmond. Congratulations to you. I visited with him, and he's on this track team that's being inducted today, too. So that's pretty neat as well. Beautiful family I'm sitting back here with. David Erbes, his wife, Amber. Raise your hand, Amber. And they have 3 beautiful children. Brooks, who's age 12, Briggs 10, and Blair 4. I'd like to ask the 2 boys there, all gussied up, come on up here. I'm going to give you a little job while I'm starting my little presentation here. I want you guys to take these, and I'm going to do a little politicking. We're getting close to November here, so I'm going to do a little politicking for the team that David was on that was 31-2, set 16 school records, averaged 102.3 points per game, and needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And we're going to pass out literature on that team right now. So if there's anybody on this voting panel for next year, let's give it his teammates back next year. And I got to do something here. French fries? I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. But I want to play something here. I hope this works. This could be kind of neat. It's just a little snippet here. It'll bring back some memories. That team was defeated, was 31-1, ranked at that time the highest ranking in school history, 9th in the nation. Fortunately, we had to play the number 1 ranked team in the nation out of Detroit, Michigan, Schoolcraft. I'm just going to play this for you.
Schoolcraft by 6, 1 minute to play in the first half. Clark in the left wing. Harris out on that right side. Left side to Clark. Now on the lane. Pass knocked away. By Dunham. Picks up Caden. They got to play. Dunham down the lane. Dunham to Erbes. And a on the top of the key, left side, J.R. Patrick. 16 seconds left in the half. Dunham, match the pass, 11 seconds. Now to Dunham, 9 seconds. It's J.R. Double up. Left side, it'll go to Dunham. 15 for the left side, go. Shot,
I apologize. I'm an old guy. And look at this technology back here. You think I could have figured out and planned a little better? That's off a VHS tape, and I like to play a little guitar, and I'm up in my amp, and I'm trying to get this thing to play louder, and I couldn't get it figured out today. When I could have called on this crew back here, we probably could have had a quality video here. But when David played, that was his freshman year, and you heard Erbes rebound, Erbes outlet, Erbes tip in. He did a lot for this school, for this program, and you heard the crowd. If anybody was around, how many of you were at that game that day? Raise your hands. They say it was the largest crowd ever in school history. We had the Holland bleachers. Ed Weary Arena was full, standing room only. Well, lo and behold, when I recruited after that, David's freshman year, I would pull in the parents and the players, and I play that video in my office. Parents would go, wow, boy, that's a big crowd, Coach. You get that kind of crowd every game? Well, yeah, pretty close to that. I couldn't lie, but he did a lot for our program. And it's going to be wonderful to talk about him here for a few minutes. We talked a lot about the 3 C's of success. 5 C's of success, excuse me. Character or Christianity, commitment, communication, consistency, and confidence. That young man had them all. Tonight, we're going to add a 6th C, celebration. Celebrate David Erbes. One of the, and I can't say because there have been young men in this program that have had NBA tryouts. There have been some wonderful young men celebrated through the years. But he has to go down as one of the best players to ever put on a Wildcat uniform. I'm going to talk a little bit about his stats. That 2001-2002 team was 31-2, like I mentioned. Mondac Conference Region 13 champs. Set 16 school records. We beat number 5 Odessa, Texas, in Sterling, Colorado in a tournament. We had a thing in our office. We said, if you don't want to run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. We would challenge each other in the athletic department to play tough schedules. Coach Pesa, Coach Lanier, well, we're going to play. Well, and of course, Gary Rogers, who brings back a lot of memories there. Would anybody, if we played Jamestown JVs, he'd bring cupcakes to the game and tease me. But we played a very difficult schedule that year that we were 31-2. Odessa Community College was ranked 5th in the nation at the time that we played them. We didn't have the respect. We weren't even ranked. We weren't even in the top 20 in the polls. We defeated them that day, and I didn't write the score down here, but I believe it was like 113 to 80 something. It was over 30. They had 5 Division I early signings. They had a young man that was going to Xavier, Randy Holbrook, I remember his name, 6'10", shoulders this wide, could probably touch the top of the square on the backboard. And David would get him down low and shoot that little jump hook over him, and his coaches would yell, "Stay on the ground, Randy, stay on the ground." Finally, David did it about the 5th time, and he started banging his head as he ran down the floor because he was so frustrated that this young man from Colfax, North Dakota, Barney, North Dakota, was schooling him. And he did take him to school. And it got a lot of respect for our program. We slowly started to climb the polls. And you know what? Here's some of his honors that year. 14.5 points per game. 10.5 rebounds per game. First team All Mondac. All Region 13. They only named 5 players to that team. And I wish we could do this. We could do it in a bigger, because then the athletes could hear, the current athletes, and I know they do that at some colleges. He was not a starter. He came off the bench, and he was fine with that. That's a team player. You remember that team? We went 5 in, 5 out. And I remember at Lake Region one time, we're rolling and we're playing a game on the road. And Tom Miley, who was Tom was he a 7-footer or 6'10"? I think he was 7-footer. Played at St. Paul Highland Park, won a state championship. And Tom wasn't the easiest young man to coach, but this is where I knew that we were in a good place. I went down and, hey, you got to make these guys happy. I was talented. Talented players make good coaches. And I went down and I'm trying to get, Tom some minutes. Tom, check in. Go ahead. Coach, he's balling, man. He's balling. Leave him out there. I said, wow, this team can do something. It's pretty good. And David accepted his role as a non-starter, and the coaches in the league could see it. Everybody knew it. He was one of the top 5 players in the league. As a sophomore, again, we had to play the number 1 ranked team in the nation. When does that ever happen? Southeastern Community College. We won the regional championship. We won the Mondac championship. Beat Williston State here by 1. And then we're able to play Southeastern. And they were very, very good. Won a national championship that year too. And David just put up big, big numbers. He 22.3 points per game, 13.9 rebounds per game, 13 NJCAA Division I All-American. At the time that year, he was 16th in scoring, 4th in rebounding in the nation. He was a Mondac Conference MVP, all-region selection, and 2 years in a row, his season was ended by the number 1 team in the nation, or he would have been in Hutchinson, Kansas, more than likely, and then having numerous Division I colleges watching him play. Bob Knight watched him on film. Bob Knight called my office. Pat Knight called my office regularly. When they were at Texas Tech, they were considering going on David Erbes. A young man from Richland 44, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but I'm telling you, I was the only coach that offered him a scholarship. And there was an athletic director from Valley City that offered him some money because they were in the search for a basketball coach. There were a lot of people that doubted David. Probably me a little bit. And kudos to him with what he did with his career. Here's some school records for you. Career, 791 rebounds. These are NDSCS. Coaching in, what are we in our 110th year, 112th year of basketball at NDSCS? This is a storied tradition, a storied program. This young man is the all-time leading rebounder for a career, season average of 13.8 rebounds, and in a season he had 457 rebounds, all career records. Single game, he had 30 rebounds when we played at Bismarck State in a game. That is a school record. He also scored 34 points in that game. Scoring, he has 1,179 career points. He was 3rd scoring in his career. He's now 5th. There have been 2 players that have passed him since his career ended. And I want to share one little story about the doubt. I called around to some of his teammates, Joe Bugers and Jared Caveney. They were here, and they will be here tonight, and they're here celebrating with David today. Probably be meeting up afterwards. Joe told me a great story. He said, you know, Coach, DJ Tyson, myself, and Sean Gabbard, we went to watch this recruit we were hearing so much about. Well, we watched him in the regional tournament in Edwards Arena, and we're watching, and DJ leans over and he said, what is Coach thinking? You gotta be kidding me. This guy, he thinks he can play? He can't jump. He's slow. We're gonna have to play zone defense all the time because he can't guard anybody. What is Coach thinking? Joe said, I piped up. And I said, well, you know, Coach is probably thinking about getting people in the stands. You know, it's one of those token local recruits that you got to have and help get some people in the stands. You heard the crowd. Do you think he did? Filled the arena. Look at his entourage here tonight. The following that David had. I have a little insurance office in Colfax, North Dakota. Yeah, there probably could be a statue built to David in town. They think a lot of him over there in those parts. But there again, even his teammates doubted him, but they came back because they love him and they respect him. And they know that work ethic that he had, which was unbelievable. His son Brooks asked me when I'm showing him pictures, we're sitting here, hey Coach, did Dad ever dunk? I never once saw him dunk. I just told you, didn't I, Brooks? He was just saving his energy so he could get that next rebound. Who cares if you dunk? If you can put up numbers and you could produce, who cares if you dunk? And David was one of the best, well, he was the best position player, not only I've ever coached, that I've ever seen. We've heard what he's accomplished. Folks, he is simply one of the greatest to ever wear a Wildcat uniform. His team success, and that's the thing, he was on really good basketball teams. I wrote down the record in the 2 years. I think it was 57-7 or 57-8, something like that in the 2 years. So he was putting up these numbers on good basketball teams with talent around him. That sometimes is hard to do. Kudos to the selection process for getting this man where he belongs. He went on to have a great career, solid career for Tim Miles at NDSU. In parting, I want to say best of luck to the Wildcat teams. Coaching, and let's get people in the stands for him. He is a great program. I watched you last year, Coach, in that game that you lost. That one could have went either way. That's the kind of basketball teams when we were filling the gym and that kind of talent that he has. That team could have made and did some damage at Hutch, and I wish you could have got there, Coach, but we'll be rooting for you and hoping things work out for you. Congratulations to David and your family. I know there's his biggest fan that I have to end with one little story, and Sherry, his mother, is sitting up here. His biggest fan, Eugene. We got to hear my buddy GR on the radio there on his call, and we're going to bring that golf tournament back next year. We will be doing that again to raise money for scholarships. We kind of took a one-year hiatus, but that doesn't mean we're not going to do it again. And I saw Gene, and you parents that are sitting out here, is a great message for you. Gene was a great parent. Not only did he love his son, he didn't put pressure on his son. He didn't put pressure on me as a coach. He was totally a support base. Well, one night after a game, David played great. He'd go over, Gene would come down and greet him outside the locker room, and I'd come out, and it was a Saturday night game. I remember it well. He says, Coach, I got to share something with you. He says, God dang it. He says, I couldn't get my dog to go for a walk this morning. He said, I don't know what it was. He says, I've never seen Jersey, I'll just say Jersey. Jersey wouldn't come. And I kept saying, Jersey, come on, let's go. It's time to go for our walk. And he said, I don't know, he just wouldn't come. He wouldn't come. So finally I had to walk back down the hallway, and he was sitting right outside the kitchen. Well, you know, I left the radio on in the kitchen. Well, guess what? He was listening to you and GR on the coach's show this morning, and you guys did a great job. I love that man. I love this family, and I'm extremely happy for you, David. You're where you belong. Let's give it up for David Erbes. The legend of the Mondack Conference.
Thank you.
No.
Buckwheat.
Yep, love you too. Speech time, right? Well, I guess I lost the bet here about who was going to do the speaking first. We were talking earlier, and everyone was saying, well, I hope you go first, and kind of gauge the speeches. Well, I'll be the first one to talk. I guess first of all, I'd like to thank NDSCS, of course, for giving me an opportunity to be up here. You kind of heard Craig, I wasn't highly recruited out of high school, and you know, basically it was down to one or two offers. You know, it ended up turning out great. Came in here my freshman year, had, you know, great coach, great teammates, and I always look back at it, and you know, everyone says, well, it was a tough transition from high school to college, and it really wasn't. You know, it was very easy for me. I found out it was almost a tougher transition from once I left here to go on and play at NDSU. I'd like to thank my coach, great speech, very good speaker, a lot better than I am, I'll tell you that. I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, of course, who couldn't be here tonight, but he's always here. One thing with mom that I always kind of chuckle about, so the last few years I've gotten more involved with having to coach kids. Of course, got a couple of younger kids, and everyone thinks just because you played the game and you were okay at it, that you know how to coach. It doesn't always work that way, but I always look back at mom and dad, and you said there was no pressure. There was no pressure. So I'd always laugh because mom would come to these games and she really is not much of a sports fan, so she would just sit there and knit the whole game. So it all worked out. You know, in the end, I got a pair of mittens. I'd like to thank my sisters, Jennifer, raise your hand, Christina, my brothers. Mark wasn't able to be here tonight. Brother Brian, Roger, this guy in the brown back there. It's hard to believe, but actually Raj probably beat me in basketball more than anybody one-on-one. But it was funny when we got older, he'd always liked playing, one-on-one. When the tides kind of turned, you all of a sudden wouldn't like playing one-on-one. I'd like to thank my teammates. I was able to catch up with a couple of them today. It's always great to see them. It brings back so many memories. Craig had asked about, what's a good memory you have? Well, of course, you got so many memories, and it's hard to come up with one. Some of the memories probably can't share up here all the time. I'd like to thank my wife, Amber. The best thing, I was able to actually stay away from NDSCS. Stand up. Again, two boys there, Brooks and Briggs. Blair, what are you doing back there? That's about all I had. It was a great day. Again, just thank you.